How you doing? Thank you for being here. June 30th on a Tuesday. And thank you all for being here for starters. And first things first up front. So we will not be on Thursday. This will be the only show we do this week. My apologies, issues with the scheduling gods for the facility and for the room. And so we'll not be able to do another show. This will be it for the week. And then we'll be back on, hopefully everything good for July, everything's set, everything's scheduled twice a week. And then, I've been saying this, I'm not sure entirely, like we have to haggle some things out, but want to get to, well, let me just put that on the table. I would like to do a more free-form, open conversation, open dialogue type of show, preferably on a Sunday evening, where I'm open to question and open to people asking about specific topics or issues, and not just do like a set Tuesday, Thursday, this is what we're talking about tonight, okay? And we're going to do that anyway, but I would like to get to the point, hopefully this coming month or into the fall, August, etc., where we do, like I said, an open, more free-form conversation situation where people get to ask questions and I get to answer their questions. Because I have had that happen literally since when I was back on the radio. And then after that, when we started our stream, our I don't want to call it, it wasn't a podcast, but it's a stream. And basically people would have questions. And in the context of a specific, set time or hour, half hour, whatever it is, we may not get to all of those questions. And this is a good one because this is, kind of like when I was still in the classroom, we would cover material, cover topic, and then a student would have a question, or it would lead to a question, a good question on the part of a student or someone that was in that class listening, taking the material, taking the information, and it would logically get them to a point where they have a question that isn't being answered in terms of the original content or material, the lesson plan, etc., and they wanted a follow-up. And that's good learning, that's good intelligence, that's good knowing, that's good educating, one way or the other, both ends. And for me too, by the way, not just as an old teacher or instructor, but if any of my old students managed to listen to this, and I've not really made a push to get, go after my old students, but if they ever do or ever did or will in the future hear this particular component, I absolutely loved when my students asked questions, because it fostered more and it forced me to have to answer, and it forced me to have to be smarter and understand and know my material better as an instructor. And I want my students or ex-students to know that, if I never said that before, but it was definitely that. I actually felt stronger intellectually for it because I had to be on it and know my material, know my content, and know my subject. In that case, back then, it was U.S. history, academic decathlon, and then AP European history, the courses that I taught. So I absolutely love that. Anyway, so to that point, for the right now, we do want to get to that. I will obviously let people know when we can, but I'm interested to hear if there's that thought, if people are, watching this tonight or, over the next few days when they can, if the thought of a show that leaves open space or time, at least in the chat or other form, to ask questions and to follow up on, excuse me, apologies, leaves people the opportunity to ask a question to follow up something that I'm covering or covered at that time. And then they have a great thought or they want an answer. Maybe they're not getting it somewhere else or they have it in the moment. I want to be able to leave that open. I want to be able to answer those questions and address it. And maybe you ask a question I can't answer. And that's cool too. That's okay. As long as you are stimulating and forcing thought and intellectual exercise on the part of the material or the subjects we cover. Really want to do that. So I need to do a better job of getting closer to that point, that period, that time when we can actually do that. And I really want to. I'm looking forward to doing that again. Like I said, as a teacher, I really love that. I love the dialogue. I love the conversation. I love the questions. I love people asking. And I'm not saying questioning like an ass. I'm talking about out of genuine intellectual curiosity and the want to know. That is the gold stuff. That's the gold material right there. That is quite literally why I wanted to teach and wanted to educate, young minds that were ripe for learning, and older minds. You're never too young, never too old. You should never not be learning. You should always be learning. Ancora imparo. Still, I am learning till the day I die. And when that time comes, if I'm in a box, I hope I pop up one last time and ask one more question. Anyway, let me have some fun with it. All right, let's get down to some business here. Again, but no show. This will be the only show this week. Be back on next week twice, and then should be good for all of July, twice a week, and then hopefully with the intent and the want to get to an additional show somewhere in July or into early August with a more free form approach. Okay, again, thank you all for being here. Let's get down to business. So, in the title, I've been kind of covering this, been going over this. I said a few weeks ago that I don't think I used the word skeptical. I'm going to use it now. I should have probably used it, a week or two ago. Skeptical of an MOU. And if I didn't use the word skeptical precisely, it was what I meant or intended. Apologies. I'm reverse engineering that now intellectually for that show a few weeks ago. When we were talking about getting to an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the Iranian people and their government to stop hostilities and stop violence and stop this illegal, unconstitutional war, incompetent war started by the traitor Donald Trump. All facts. So I was skeptical, still am. I almost knew, and I kind of said this, that it wasn't going to be done. It wasn't done. And I'm going to tell you why. Not from a U.S. perspective would I say that, or would I hope for that. But I was skeptical and not convinced that the dumb shits we have negotiating, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, people that have absolutely no fucking clue, not an iota of an experience, skill set in negotiating complex peace treaties and negotiations. Clueless, no experience, no background, nothing. At a world level, mind you, at a world level. One, with the world's greatest superpower, and two, with the country, I'm going to say this and you're going to laugh because it's true, and a country, Iran, that just doesn't give a shit what we think. Good or bad. You can argue as an American that's bad for us, clearly. But obviously, if you're Iranian, you're saying that's good. And if you're a lot of other countries that are diametrically opposed and not in favor of the United States running or controlling or being the biggest badass on the planet, owning everything, then clearly it is good and bad. Good and bad. But I'm going to reiterate the point, and I'm going to state it again. And it is a truism. It is a true statement. And then I'm going to follow that with the point that you need to internalize and understand if you're my listener, my viewer, my follower, subscriber. Supermax Nation, the show for the thinking Mexican, the show for the thinking American, the show for the thinking veteran, by the way, in addition. Okay? Iran just doesn't give a shit what we think. So it's absolutely asinine and asshat for Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump for that matter, and Pete Hegseth or anybody else associated at the top with this incompetent, illegal, unconstitutional asshat of a war, to believe or to think that the Iranians are going to negotiate in good faith with us. And I don't give a shit if you're American and you're supposed to be for America. I'm for America. I'd die for this bitch. But logic dictates, reason dictates that you put on a hat that says, I'm not a dumb shit. And ask yourself the question. We, the United States, Donald Trump, attacked the Iranian people. Okay? They didn't attack us. We attacked them. We bombed the shit out of them. We have killed thousands upon thousands of their people. We have killed their women and children, verifiably confirmed and true. We have killed their women and children. And we actually expect, and watch this caveat, I don't expect, my viewer, my listener, my followers, subscribers should not expect, but I'm asking this rhetorically for the entire country. Do we actually expect the Iranian people to deal with us in good faith? When we attack them, when we've bombed the shit out of them, while we have killed their people, women and children, and we expect them to deal in good faith. I've stated before, and I'm going to state again, the current leader, Khamenei, of Iran now is the son of the guy that we wiped out. And we expect him to deal with us in good faith? How many layers of hell stupid does there need to be for you to understand that doesn't add up? It does not make sense. Non sequitur. It does not follow. Yet we expect them to deal in good faith because Donald Trump says so, because Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, unqualified, non-expert, no experience in dealing with negotiations and peace treaties at all, expects them to? We just expect them to roll over and do what the hell we say? How stupid can you be? Rhetorical question. Obviously, multiple layers of asshat stupid because we're witnessing it in real time right now. The reason I'm bringing it up because I want to put a fine point on it so that we right now do not forget this moment. That in 10 years, we can look back and say, I remember when we had a president that started a war, bombed women and children, and he was actually stupid enough to think that the leader whose father he killed was going to negotiate in good faith. That the people who we obliterated and bombed and killed their women and children were going to deal in good faith. That is a special kind of stupid. That is its own special brand of stupid. It's all by itself. It can only be quantified on its own. And I've said this before, and it is one of my lines. Arrogance, in this particular case, with the lard-ass, rapist, racist, traitor Donald Trump, arrogance is its own special brand of stupid. It really is. Because how can people that on the surface seem to be smart or intelligent or capable make such absolutely brain-dead, stupid decisions? And I submit for your approval, my audience tonight, Supermix Nation, arrogance. Arrogance is the answer. Arrogance is, always has been, always will be, historically, globally, societally. Arrogance is its own special brand of stupid. And if you can internalize that and use that as your prism for viewing complex, difficult things like peace negotiations between multiple countries, if you can do that, and I'm helping you tonight to set that as a module for yourself in your head in understanding and deciphering and contextualizing these times, these things, these difficulties in foreign policy, then it becomes really, really simple. It becomes really, really easy. And if one of my students was correct and accurate, and he wasn't the only one that said this, but He told me one time after he had graduated and I was moved on from my high school days of teaching, he said he absolutely believed and loved the fact that I took extremely difficult, complex, intellectually challenging issues or situations and broke them down so that regular people, students, and others can understand. That is what we are doing right now, right here. So I want you to contextualize that. I want you to get that in your head. This is not indecipherable. It's not unknowable. And let me wrap that for a second. Arrogance is its own brand of stupidity. Arrogance will provide you the answers that you need to make sense of the times that we exist in, to make sense of the fact that we have people negotiating for us, for the United States, for our economy, for our military, for our people in uniform. We have people that have absolutely no fucking experience whatsoever doing this. And when you ask that question, why would we do that? I submit again for your approval and your perusal what I've already stated to you. Arrogance. Arrogance is the reason, because it isn't based on any intellectual component that can be logically understood when it comes to people having experience, having knowledge, having background, having expertise. And I'll say it, having intelligence. Because personally, and this is just on me, you can disagree with me if you'd like, and this is one of those times when I'll tell you, I won't say that it is an objective truth. In this case, it's subjective, subject to interpretation or belief or whatever. It's subjective. I personally believe, and personally believed weeks ago, and when we started this mess, that this was going to be difficult and we were not going to come out of it good, meaning the United States and its people. Its people. Not Donald Trump and his fucking cronies and his fucking people, but us, the American people. I said we would not come out of this better. I didn't believe that we can be better off for it, because now we're going to have an entire country of people that hate us even more than they already did, meaning us. They hate us now, the people, not just Trump, because by extension, we're culpable and responsible for his fat ass doing what he's doing. We're on the hook. Us, the American people. They hate us. And there will come a time in the future, and you can quote me right now, there will come a time in the future, near or far, where someone in Iran, some Iranian person, does something to Americans or America because of the shit that Donald Trump has just pulled on them. We will pay that price. We will. The American people will. Some uniformed American, someone in our military, some civilian at an airport, somebody in the United States somewhere. Someone's going to die or be injured. There will be damage to our people because of what Donald Trump has done. Period. That is my belief. Now, again, as I stipulated and said earlier, I will tell you when I believe something to be objectively true and no debate and argument, and then I will tell you if something is subjective and you can argue or debate or disagree and maybe think other. This is that time. You can disagree with me. You can think I'm wrong. You could tell me that no, Supermex, we will never pay a price as an American people for this illegal, unconstitutional, incompetent war that Donald Trump started. But for any of you with half an IQ point above Forrest Gump, and most of my viewers are well above that, you begin to understand that what I'm saying to you, although it may be subjective in the moment, the right now, it is more than likely true. I do believe we will pay a price. Some Americans going to die. Something's going to happen to us. Something's going to be done to us that originates from or is from or started from the Iranian government or the Iranian people or an Iranian person. And when you sum it all up, is it that difficult to understand what I'm telling you? Is it that difficult to believe that what I'm saying might be true? That it's not just plausible, that it actually might be probable that someone in Iran right now is thinking of how they can hurt an American or hurt the American people? Is it that difficult to comprehend? Is it that difficult to think that that's likely, that that's a possibility, that's a probability? And when you ask yourself that question and you're reasoned and you're rational and you remove emotion, and you analyze it just on the surface, it is extremely likely, in my view, in my opinion, subjectively, of course, that there is someone in Iran right now that is planning to hurt the United States of America, planning to hurt Americans, planning to hurt us because of what Donald Trump has started. Okay? So to the point of the title for tonight's show as we started, all of this wrapped up, is it so hard to think that over the last week to week and a half, we had an MOU, they were talking about a peace treaty was going to be done, and then it's not? All of what I've said up until this point over the last 15, 20 minutes to now, is it that difficult to believe that, hey, there's no peace? There's no peace treaty? There's nothing signed? They're still taking shots at us, and we took shots back. Surprise. Not a surprise. At least not for me. And I'm going to say it again. Probably not for my people, my viewers, my subscribers, my followers. The show for the thinking Mexican. Yeah, you probably rationalize this out because we've been talking about this and having this ongoing conversation about the likelihood of us actually getting to peace. I'm going to go a step further. And this is what I'm going to share with you. To the point of the title, Iran clowns the traitor again. Because they've been clowning him, and by extension us, this entire time, playing us and playing games with us. I actually think, and I hope I'm wrong, because for damn sure I don't want any more Americans hurt. I don't want any more Americans killed for this dumb shit, illegal, unconstitutional, and incompetent war started by Donald Trump. I actually think, and I believe, that Iran is still going to come to the table. They're going to go through all the mechanics and the dog and pony show of meeting and talking to Jared Witkoff, or excuse me, I might as well make them both. Witkoff and Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance's dumbass when he shows up. They're going to go through the motions. They're going to do the dog and pony. And listen to this truism as I say it to you. They're going to do all that, and they're going to keep doing what they want. They don't fear Donald Trump. They don't fear us. And that's a problem for us. Because people that don't fear us will do whatever the hell they want, including to us. So we're going to watch. People are going to become inoculated, immunized to the thought of war, to the thought of this stupid-ass war, to the thought of negotiations and peace, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Donald Trump and his people will go on air and say, oh, look, the stock market's booming. Oh, look, we're stronger. Shut the fuck up. Because it isn't getting better. I think Iran drags this out, continues to slowly agree to this, agree to that a little bit, and then fuck around a little bit more, take a shot at us, hit a tanker, control the Strait of Hormuz, whereas prior to Donald Trump's dumbass move, they didn't control the Strait of Hormuz, but now they're making money off the Strait of Hormuz. Only Donald Trump could make money for our enemy. Listen, Benedict Arnold in his grave, Benedict Arnold, the name that is singularly known and understood to be the traitor, that is in history books an understanding of the word traitor for the United States. We all know that. Benedict Arnold. It is synonymous with traitor. Benedict Arnold is in his grave right now laughing his ass off at how much more of a traitor Donald Trump is to the United States than Benedict Arnold was. I mean, we're really there. We are literally there. Benedict Arnold is rolling over in his grave, laughing his ass off. Insert GIF or emoji here. Rolls on the floor, laughing my ass off. That's Benedict Arnold rolling in the grave. Rolling in his grave, laughing his ass off. Do the LMAO thing. Laughing at how bad Donald Trump is to the United States as a traitor that Benedict Arnold was. Because even Benedict Arnold didn't make money, millions of dollars for the enemy. In that case, the United Kingdom or Britain. Donald Trump is his own special brand of stupid, by the way, and his own special brand of traitor. He is the most unique, pervasive traitor in the history of the United States and will be judged as such over time. You can quote me on that. Will be judged as such, specifically as we get out of the moment. When you're in the moment, you don't see it as well, unless you're an historian and you believe in that and you see it. You know how history will write this. He is that traitor. So Iran continues to clown us, dragging out these peace negotiations while making money off of a strait that they did not control before, but now they do because of Donald Trump making money. And to include billions of dollars in assets that were frozen by the United States that we've freed up now and given back to them, that they are making money off of now, including oil that is now going out in their tankers and being sold in the market to make them more money. The greatest idiot of a clown I think we've ever seen. So yes, Iran is currently systemically, deliberately, and intelligently, because they're smart about how they do this shit, by the way. They're doing all that right now, clowning Donald Trump and these United States. Because they also know, in large measure, that Donald Trump doesn't have the stomach for a prolonged, sustained military action and war. They know he doesn't, because they know at core, he's just a little punk bitch that has never had to fight a battle himself. So he has no stomach for it. And I've said that, and I'm going to reiterate that point. Donald Trump is not tough. He's not a badass. He's a weak little bitch that gets other people to do his fighting for him. He gets other people to die for him. And that's in evidence. We've seen that. That is not subjective. That is fact. Americans have died because he started a war. Stupidly, arrogantly, and with no purpose, no reason, no rationale, no primary objective, no clear escape clause or outlet that was beneficial or a benefit to these United States and the people that exist in it. Consider that. All true. All true. So, the overall, and I've said this more than a few times as we've gone on over the last few weeks, my major concern personally, as a foreign policy person, as someone that has spent a lifetime studying our nation's history and our foreign policy with other countries and our place in the world. And I know that's a shock because there's not a whole lot of Mexican people, Mexican Americans, Mexicans in America that can speak with some level of expertise and authority on that subject. And I can. Not going to say I'm the greatest. Not. I don't do that. I've never been that. Never want to. But I have spent a lifetime. And I don't mean, oh, I went to college and I learned some shit. No. I've literally, and for those of you that do know, I've literally internalized that, made that part of my structure, my framework, my philosophy, my thought, since I was at the knee knees of two World War II grandfathers that shared with me their stories, their beliefs. They're cool stories, some cool stories about what these United States are, what this country is, what our philosophy and what our beliefs are. And I've never stopped learning, reading, studying, knowing. So my concern is our place in the world, our place in the United States. I'm going to share this with it. It's something of a sidebar, but it is to the larger. Donald Trump has damaged our place and position in the world order. No one will deny we're still the most powerful country on the planet because of our military, because of our economy. Those are not debatable. Those are all facts and objectively true. However, because of what he's done, because of his presidency, because of his stupidity, because of his arrogance, because of his dumb shittery, he is damaged, in some cases irreparably. He has damaged and harmed our relationship with our greatest allies in NATO and other countries, countries that would back us and support us at the drop of a dime if we needed to, but now they won't because we're doing stupid shit. And you don't ask people to support you when you're starting fights for no goddamn reason other than to hurt people. Why are they going to support you? No. I'll point that out, that I've said this before. When we built the coalition for Desert Storm, when Iraq attacked a smaller country, Kuwait, yes, oil was involved. That's always the case in the Middle East, always will be. But when Iraq and Saddam Hussein attacked a small country, in essence bullied them, the United States stepped up, put a coalition together of, I want to say it was like 90 something or some fucking crazy number of countries, including all of our NATO allies. And they came to our aid, they came to our side, and they died with us in combat. Fast forward to September 11th, 9/11. We were attacked by Saudi Arabian nationals, which we're kissing ass to now because Trump likes to kiss ass to Middle Eastern powers because they've got money and he's going to make money off of it personally, not for the United States. But September 11th, we were attacked. We invoked Article 5 of the NATO alliance. And those countries came to our aid. They supported us because we were attacked. Is it a surprise and is it a shock that those countries, the traditional subjects, Britain, France, most of the Western European powers, came to our aid and supported us and fought for us, fought with us? That is not a surprise because that's simple. I'm going to get down to the street for you here. Someone hit you and you fought back and you asked for your friends and your primos and your cousins to come and defend you because you got hit, you got attacked, and they came to your aid and they supported you and they whooped that ass. That's not a surprise. That's the right thing to do. Fast forward to now. We went out and we picked on a little guy. And I'm not saying Iran's innocent, by far, no. But we went and started the fight. We picked the damn fight. We attacked them for no goddamn reason other than saying they might attack us when we couldn't know that. And is it a shock and is it a surprise that those same NATO allies and other countries that have normally been with us, is it a shock that they didn't jump on board right away and get over here? It's not a shock. It's simple. We did something stupid and they didn't support it. And so we've lost them that way. They don't trust us the same way. And here's what I'll insert to you as I wrap up this portion of the foreign policy component of tonight's show. What you do know, every American should, if you have any degree or quality of education at all, doesn't have to be a degree or an advanced degree at all. Simple. You have Russia, you have China. Those are not our friends. They are our enemies. They are global superpowers that are not on the level of us. However, you combine those two, that's another story. Meaning against us, acting against us, if it were a hot war. Okay? Now, insert and add 1, 2 nuclear powers and one more. We have the best, I think the biggest nuclear arsenal or capability on the planet, but it's not the only one. Russia has a massive military capability nuclearly, and so does China. And if you combine those two, theirs is as big or as good, if not more so than ours. And now you add India. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you have to play with these possibilities. You have to consider strategically, if you're doing what's right for your people, what's good for people. India also has a very large nuclear arsenal and capability. And they're not exactly friends with us right now. They're actually leaning more toward China and Russia. Now, put all that into perspective and stay with me now. This is not easy. This makes you work and make you think. Put those three in perspective. Combine those three as a thought experiment, as an exercise in strategic calculation. What if? The what ifs are valid and legitimate. They're hypotheticals, but these are hypotheticals that our military and our brightest minds in uniform have to consider and have to play out. Because if they didn't, they're not doing their damn job. And these people do their job. It's not hard to understand, if you're American, that if you said Russia, China, and India combined were against the United States, then you should know that's a problem. That we could lose that. Yes, you heard me correctly. I said that. We could. I'm not saying we unilaterally would or will. I'm just saying put the numbers together, put the data together. Those three countries, two of them, China, are the largest populated countries on the planet, by far more than us. By far more than us. Each of those two countries is 1 billion plus people. We're nowhere near that. Okay? Not even a quarter of either of those, around a quarter. Okay, so put that into perspective. Russia, China, India, not our friends right now. I mean, well, we have relationships with India. Yeah, we do, but it's transactional as hell. And they're leaning this way right now toward not us. All because Donald Trump's a dumb shit. And he's tariffing, I'll make it an action. He's placing tariffs on them in excess of 100%. Just asshat stupid because he got a wild hair up his fat ass and now he's going to, oh yeah, do this. Okay, so stay with me. The exercise of it, please. Put those three countries and align them against us. And that's not good. Again, I'm going to say, and I don't know that, I'm going to say I don't know that we would lose in a conflict directly with those three countries, but I think we might. We definitely could. Let me do it that way. I don't think that's a stretch for any American to not comprehend. If you had Russia, China, and India all together aligned against the United States, then definitely we could lose. Again, not saying we will. I'm just saying it's more than possible and likely that we could, yes, lose. And then you do the other side to this. Well, they're not stronger than us if we are NATO aligned, which, ladies and gentlemen, since the end of World War II and in this World War II expanse of time from 45 to now, in excess of 80 years now? Yes. If the United States is NATO aligned and they are with us, then we fear no one on the planet in conjunction. Not just Russia, not just China, but maybe even all three of them. I would feel pretty good about that. But fast forward to now, and you should know where I'm at and where we're going. Can we rely? Can we trust that those NATO allies would be with us now that Donald Trump has treated them like shit, made fun of him, clowned him, talked bad about him, and doesn't want to be a part of NATO? And now you begin to understand the gravity of my concern as an American, and as an American that gives a shit about our foreign policy and our long-term stability and growth as a people, as a nation, as a philosophy, as a concept, directly from and predicated on our Constitution. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No one is above the law. All men are created equal. All women are created equal. Now you understand where I'm at, where my concerns are, where the issues are. In essence, we are alone. And again, to wrap the point and to bring it all to square here, that kind of arrogance where we're badass by ourselves, when we are on our own, when we are alone, is not good for the long-term health of any people, any nation, any state, any group. And how do I know that? Because I know a little bit of a thing called history. No people, no nation, no state, no government has ever lasted forever, because we all go through this window of time where we're at the top of the heap and we think we're bigger, better, and badder than everybody else. And then we act accordingly and do stupid shit because we get an arrogant, cocky asshole that runs it and does stupid shit with it. That is where we are right now. So even though I don't like it, I have a problem with it, I have no emotion in stating that Iran will continue to clown this lard-ass, rapist, racist, traitor president, and by extension, the United States and its people. They're not going to stop. Anything we signed is a joke. Anything we sign is a joke. They don't believe that we are serious people. They don't trust us. They think we are to be played and laughed at. And I keep saying we, right? But it isn't us, meaning you and I, me and my viewer, my listener, my follower, subscriber. It's Donald Trump and his cavalcade of clowns. There's some good alliteration for you. Donald Trump and his cavalcade of clowns. Let me wrap that point. Witkoff and Kushner are fucking clueless when it comes to these negotiations with the Iranian government and the Iranian people. Are fucking clueless. But they are there negotiating. J.D. Vance, greatest dumb shit vice president, I think, was against the war with Iran. Now he's all in the middle of it like a dumb bitch. Laughing my ass off about that. I've got to finish up my final point here, but let me crystallize all of what I've just said with the simplicity of it. Iran will continue to clown this president and his cavalcade of clowns, and it will not be to the benefit of these United States and the people in it. That is my statement, and I believe those things to be fact. Because if all you did was look at where we are and where we've come from in this 100 and X amount, I can't remember the exact amount of days of war with the Iranian people, we're not better off for it. It has uniformly been worse for the American people since we started this shit. Retraction. Since Trump started this shit. Because he wanted to deflect attention away from the Epstein files, in which he is named 38,000 times, more than any one person other than Jeffrey Epstein himself and Ghislaine Maxwell. Pedophile protection president. Start a war to get attention away from the fact that I am not prosecuting or investigating anyone in the Jeffrey Epstein files. The pedophile protection president. Now, reiteration, I did say, and I qualified a few weeks ago, he is elevated from the pedophile protection president to the pedophile supporting president. He's not just protecting them by leaving them out there to continue their nasty shit, sex trafficking, underage girls. Those people are still out there. He's not just protecting them. He's actively supporting pedophilia and sex trafficking. Quote that. Because if you're not stopping them, do you think they're going to stop? No, they're not. The United States government's supposed to stop that shit, and we are not, because Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, i.e. he will do nothing about the Epstein files. And there is no debate. There is no argument. Those are facts. They haven't changed. That is where we are. And you started a war for it, lost American lives. The lives of all Americans are worse off for it. And Iran will continue to clown this lard-ass president and, by extension, the United States people. Last point tonight before I go off. The numbnuts that he chose to run the Department of Defense. And for the record, I will not call it the Department of the War. That is some asshat, stupid, dumb shit reinvention on the part of Pete Hegseth, the Department of War. You're at your best when you're defending people. You're at your best when you're defending good. You're not at your best when you're actively picking fights and hurting innocent people. That is not hard to comprehend, ladies and gentlemen. That is simple. That is fundamentally human and understandable. You're not a good person. You're not a good people if you're out hurting, harming, and fucking with people. You are good when you are working against those people and you're defending and helping people that are being hurt or killed by those that are evil that do evil things. And this is quite the contrary. We are the opposite now. That is us. We have no rationale and claim to defenders of what is good and right. We're the opposite. We're proactively doing evil shit to innocents and others. That is who we are now. So having said that, numbnuts, dumb shit, Pete Hegseth. I'm going to throw this as an aside because there's a lot more here, and we're running out of time already. I gotta finish up. Pete Hegseth. Let me run it back so you can get the particulars. There was a major influenza flu outbreak at Joint Base San Antonio Lackland in Texas, where it saw 275 recruits, young military people. 275 recruits got sick from this flu outbreak. This outbreak began specifically, now stay with me, and for my people, this is material. This is weaponry for you to argue your points against dumb shit, MAGA, red hat, Cro-Magnon dumbasses, cult members. The outbreak began after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ended the military's flu vaccine mandate. There it is. In response, the Pentagon reversed its policy and reinstated mandatory flu shots for military trainees after the fact. The point is, Hegseth comes in and ends the military's flu vaccine mandate. And this is probably, this would take me longer than what I have left in time, but I'm going to try to make it as succinct and simple as possible for you. When you join the service, you join the military, speaking from experience, and let me use that as an example because it's tangible and simple to understand. When I joined the Army, first thing done in basic training, big old line. And for those of you out there that are former soldiers and vets like me, you're going to laugh. You know what I'm talking about. You get it in processed. They're bringing you in. First thing you do, you're down to your chonies. You're naked, other than your chonies. You're in a line. You're getting all the things for hygiene and other things that you need to go to your base to get started on basic training. And you line up, and there's this guy with what looks like a gun with a nasty head on the top of it that isn't a gun, but it looks like a little gun. There's a nasty head on the top. It looks nasty. It's like basically it's a big, fat, ugly thing with a whole bunch of needles, like an air thing. You line up, single file, you walk, you stop. The old boy shoots you in the arm. And I think I got it on, was it this side? I got a little scar there. Basically, you get shot in the arm with this needle gun, and it contains, I don't even know, a whole stew, mix, jungle juice of vaccinations, including a flu shot. And here's why. And here's the fun part. For all you badasses out there, all you fucking chingones that think you know so much and you're so badass and you do that shit to me, I don't take no shot. Without shots and without vaccinations, we may not exist as a people. You can quote that. Maybe, but definitely not in the numbers. More people die. Okay, it's science. It's simple. But my point is, when you go in the military, you go in the army, you're vaccinated. You're vaccinated. Because if one person is not, and they contract or get something, a disease, a flu, or whatever, in close quarters, in military settings, in bases, in combat, out in the field, it will spread, and it will spread rapidly. That is not me, ladies and gentlemen. That is history. Empires have been lost. Battles have been lost. Wars have been lost because of a lack of hygiene and disease. Don't have the time to go into today. There's plenty of examples. There's just go study, go read, pull shit up on Google or whatever you have to do. Bing it. I don't care. But that is a fact. Battles have been lost. Wars have been lost. Empires have gone down because of disease and spread of disease or sickness. And that's why in the military, you don't fuck with that. Pete Hegseth did. And immediately it began to spread. Now, it was immediately addressed, gotten on, and the Pentagon immediately reversed course. But that's Pete Hegseth coming in because he's such a badass and he knows so much. And that's for all you badasses out there that you never got the jab. I don't need no vaccine. I'm chingon. I'm going to last forever. None but love for you. You're too badass for me. But our military and our soldiers and our recruits and our personnel in uniform are not. That is why we have vaccinations. I am a proud owner of a scar on my arm that bears that to true. And for the record, I don't get sick very often. I've been sick. The last time I got sick, literally just a cold, runny nose, sniffles, was 3 years ago. 3. I haven't had shit since. And prior to that, it was 8 years before I had something. So in the last 11 years, I've been sick one time. And ladies and gentlemen, I do got to wonder if it was the military, if it's the vaccination thing. I do. This is all true business. You could ask my doctor if you need to, but that's all true. My point here is Pete Hegseth doesn't know his ass from a hot rock. And last point, because I'm going to have time to get to this, but those are all facts. That's data. Don't fuck with our nation's military and its vaccination policy and how to keep our soldiers healthy. Dumbass does not understand. He is, and I'm going to finish here. He is firing and moving out and purging our nation's military. Let me stop here. Watch this. I'm going to stop because I need to make this. Dominican remind me that we need to do this specifically. I need to address this particular topic in detail on its own, by itself as a show. What Pete Hegseth is doing to our nation's military and how it is damaging our readiness. It is damaging esprit de corps. It is damaging morale. And it is infecting our upper officer corps. Through his inaction, through his actions and his stupidity. And lastly, and watch this, nice wrap to the show because it all comes full circle because of his arrogance. Because of his arrogance. And as always, and I do this more often than not, If you've stayed with me this long and you're listening even now, and maybe you came in a little later, if you remember nothing from this show, remember this. Pete Hegseth is an example of it. Donald Trump is an example of it. Others in his, Jared Kushner, the world's greatest peace negotiator, is an example of it. Arrogance, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't have and my followers, my subscribers, my listeners and viewers do not have. Arrogance. Remember, nota bene, arrogance is its own special brand of stupidity. Never forget that term. It offers you answers and gives you insight into a lot of stupid shit you see today. Arrogance. Its own very, 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 one more very, very special brand of stupidity. Arrogance. We won't be here. I'm not going to say anything about our nation's birthday coming up this Saturday. We'll follow up with the show this coming because we're a number of days off, but we are at 250. I'll say this, be safe. It's not always you. Look out for the other, whether you're driving or traveling, etc. And be safe with your fireworks. Last thing too, to that point, I've got cats, got pets, and I'm going to bring them inside because it's going to go crazy in my neighborhood with fireworks. I know it may not matter to some of you. You may not give a shit. Fair. You're free to, live your own life and do things your way. But fireworks scare the shit out of animals. They scare the shit out of animals. So if it matters at all, throw me that bone, pun intended, and do what you can to not scare the shit out of animals. I'm not saying don't pop fireworks, but be aware and be cognizant of the fact that there are animals around and see what you can or do what you can to not scare the shit out of them as much. If you have pets, put them inside or put them in an area that they can feel safe away from the noise. Put them in a garage, put them inside, whatever you can. That's what I'm going to do. Not asking much, but if you can, just be knowledgeable, be aware of that. And I'll use the line my dad used to give me. They're God's critters too. Think about that. They're God's critters too. We'll be back next week on next Tuesday. Be careful, be safe, enjoy your holiday. Be a good person. Be a good fucking American. Number love for you.